just waiting.
I didn't know if I could hear you or we could talk together.
This
So
is cool.
this is experimenting. Yeah, it's really cool. I sent text messages to Andy, Lily, and Lori Joe, um, asking if they might be joining us this morning.
Great.
So
Yeah.
you never know. I sure hope so. As many of us who show up on the board, I think is a good encouragement.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
But I'm glad to know we can talk with each other. What my couple of other churches who do this do is at the end of service, when they're inviting people to stay for coffee, they're inviting the Zoom people to stay online and chat with each other.
Oh,
So
now
they
that would be great. That's what I miss about.
encourages the community at home to
Right.
also be more involved.
Yeah,
So I'd
I think
like
that's a
to
great idea.
us as we grow to have that where the Zoom just stays on, even though it's not, showing the church and we just chat.
Right.
But this has great features that we can use. Eli said that we can even get the order of service as a document attached. And they were going to look into helping do that on our
Oh,
Zoom.
that would be really good, actually.
Yeah, I think this is all good stuff for us to engage our at-home community because I know so many are. Okay, mute.
Yes, yeah.
We join with other UUs in the tradition of inviting the gong 3 times. Once in remembrance of those who have lived, built, and nurtured this congregation before us. Once with appreciation to all of us calling it home today, and once with anticipation and hope for those who will be part of the congregation in the future. Good morning. On this wet, rainy Sunday morning, March 1st, 2026. My name is Kathy Mitchell, and I'm your service leader for today. We want to welcome everyone joining us online and in person to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. Whomever you love, however you describe yourself or name the holy, you are welcome here. We especially welcome those of you who are visiting for the first time and or are recently new to us and returning again. We're so glad that you're here with us today. If there's anyone visiting for the first time or returning again, we'd love to have you introduce yourself, although you don't have to if you don't want to. Everyone, please stay for coffee and conversation after the service so we can all get to know one another better. We begin our service with the acknowledgement that our congregation rests on the unceded lands of Indigenous people, including the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua tribe. Their name graces our congregation and the river that flows through this land. We make this land acknowledgement in recognition of the Cow Creek Umpqua, the Onkala Kalapuya, the Southern Malala, and other tribes who've been forcibly displaced, yet who continue to live, lead, create, and belong here. May this acknowledgement move us toward repair, relationship, and right action. We are Unitarian Universalists. We're diverse in faith. We think for ourselves and honor how our life experience shapes what we believe. We are Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, humanist, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, agnostic, atheist, and those who weave together more than one tradition. We come from radical roots and a long history of people who sought a faith grounded in freedom, reason, and love. Unitarian Universalism is its own faith tradition. We are united, not because we all believe the same thing, but because we share a commitment to seek truth, practice compassion, and build a more just and loving world. Our practices differ, our languages for the holy differ, but the tradition that we share is real. A faith shaped by history, by covenant, by conscience, and by community. Please rise as you're able and join in singing our opening song, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
Trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed.
We have a couple of announcements today. T-shirts, Side with Love T-shirts are in the back, and they're for sale. There's a variety of sizes. Are there any other announcements? Yes, board meeting will happen next Sunday, after 10 minutes after church. 12:30, sorry. Yeah, keeps changing. Yes, sir.
Today is the kickoff Sunday for our annual pledge drive. So we're going to put out envelopes with pledge packets on the back table. And you will save us some mailing cost if you pick it up here and take it home, fill it out, or you can fill it out here. Anyway, and we will have treats available also. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Much appreciation goes to our staff, our greeters, Al and Mary Herring, and our church administrator, Genevieve Gonzalez, and Jake Tranter on media. Thank you all for all that you do. In our community today, there are many children and adults, housed and unhoused, facing illness, hunger, and without shelter. Acting in compassion for those who are in need, our service to the larger community is to collect your donations of food and money for the Fish Food Pantry. Our church offering will be later in the service. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and will definitely be put to good use in our community. Our opening words today are by Dorothy Day. People say, "What is the sense of our small effort?" They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into the pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do. And we light the chalice with these words from Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Now, please join with all of us together. You can stand or you can just sit, and as we say the words of our affirmation together. We come together to renew our spirits, to open our hearts, to remember the strength we find in community, and to shape a more just and loving world. We now take a moment to hold what we're carrying into this day, the joys that have found us, and the worries, griefs, and longings that travel with us too. If you'd like to light a candle, please form a line to the left. When you share, please say your name, and please keep your words brief so that everyone has time and space in this circle of care.
I'm coming into a time where I'm going to be celebrated to the point where I'm not sure I know myself. But I want to share with you that this, right here, us, we here in this room together, is one of the most important things I have been involved in my entire life. It reminds me weekly that I care about the world and that I am responsible for what I do in that world. And so I ask you all, as I light this candle, take it into your heart. We are a small group, but we're incredibly important. And for each one of us, we hold each other as true and strong.
I'm lighting 2 candles today. The first is for JC in that sign-up sheet in the back. We need more volunteers to help with her party in 2 weeks. The 15th, after the service, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Yeah, 15th after the service. So please sign up. We could use help for prep, food, and cleanup. And my second candle is a candle of joyfulness. I've had this rental house since the early 90s here in Roseburg, before I even moved here permanently, and I sold it this week. So I'll find a small portion of that to pledge later when I know what it's going to be.
I'm going to light 2 candles today. Oh, my name's Merlin. The first candle is for my father, because he taught me some lessons along the way that have become part of me. One of them is we were riding along the way and there was somebody pulled over, they had a flat tire. And he pulled over and he went and helped them change the tires so they could get on their way. And so when he came back, I said, "Dad, why'd you do that?" He said, "We should help each other." This last week, coming out of the dining room where I live up at Linus Oaks, there was a woman that was struggling getting up the stairs. She had bruised something, I don't know what, but I helped her get in her car, and then I went down to where she lives and I helped her get in her house until she was comfortable. That's just a repeat of my father. Remember where we learned those things and let's pass them on.
I'm Kathy Baker. Merlin, ditto. Here's to my parents too, who taught me similar. Always help, always help. I'm lighting 2 more candles today, maybe 3. One for my parents, one for my 3 sons, whom I woke up thinking about this morning. I don't talk about them enough. One is passed, died about 7 years ago. 2 are living, thank God. I'm so proud of their creativity, their perseverance, their talent, their intelligence, their strength. I'm so proud of them. And I don't talk about it enough, you know? and one is for peace.
My name is Tammy, and I was on my way up here just going to light one candle. But because Kathy mentioned her son passing, I decided I need to light a candle for my son who passed as well. This is for my Avery, and I miss him very much, and I can't wait to see him again someday. My second candle is for Teresa, my girlfriend here, who deals with migraines. And this is however you guys want to do it. Send her positive vibes and energies and good thoughts and help her, maintain and enjoy these bad, not enjoy, but make those things go away or whatever. Help her enjoy the good times in life. So.
Sorry, some of these are really long. I didn't want the really long ones. I found two really good ones. My name is Jennifer, and I would like to share two things. One candle is for my dad and my stepmom. They're somewhere off in Europe. I don't really know where because they go on crazy trips, but I get to house sit and dog sit and cat sit while they're gone for the next 2 weeks. And so I am in charge of 5 beautiful, lovely, wonderful animals, and I am very grateful for the opportunity. And my other candle is for myself. I just applied to OSU on Saturday, and so I'm nervous and excited, and so I would just appreciate all like the good energy and vibes, like Tammy said, just all the good thoughts. Yeah, that's my candles. Thank you.
Marianne? Jake will turn you up in a second. Hold on. Your mic's on mute, Marianne.
Okay, it kept going in and out on mute. Sorry about that. I have a joy I'd like to share this morning that we are working through any small glitches to offer the congregation the opportunity for zooming into our services on Sundays when a congregation is not able to join in person. We can speak with you, we can speak with each other online. Julianne is also on with me this morning, and we had some chat before service began, and we can have chat after service is over. So we're more connected now than ever, and we're hoping that more of our at-home congregation will follow the link in their Quest that comes out weekly, which will remain the same, and join us in Zoom session so we can all grow together. Thank you. Kathy, could you light that candle for me?
I will do that, Marianne.
Thank you.
And I'll also light a candle for those of us who've kept joys and concerns deep within our hearts. And now we can sing our response. We're supported by this community's gifts of time, talent, and treasure. Your support is what fuels our congregation's mission and keeps the flame of justice, community, and love burning brightly. If you're a visitor, please be our guest and let the basket pass you by. What is given now is received in appreciation of the support of our shared hopes and values. And now we'll sing our response, From You I Receive. And now we have another song. Please rise if you would like as we sing Answering the Call of Love.
Every soul is blessed and made whole. The
It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Reverend Jody Mitchell. Jody grew up in a large family with 10 sisters and 10 brothers on a farm in the foothills of Colorado. When she was around 10 years old, the pastor of a little Holy Roller church moved into the farmhand cottage across the road. They invited her to church, and it didn't take long for her to feel she had the calling to preach. And at age 12, she was speaking from pulpits in churches around the district during youth ministries. At age 16, Jody took her show on the road, holding revivals all over Oklahoma and Texas. As an ordained minister, she served as pastor of 2 different churches in Arkansas. In 1982, she began her ministry with Metropolitan Community Church, and in the summer of 1988, Jody and her family moved to Roseburg to pastor the Metropolitan Community Church in Greene. Jody was periodically invited to speak for Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation, first when they were located downtown, and here in our beloved sanctuary. Jody Mitchell.
No, I think I'm fine. Move this over a little ways. Good morning. As most of you know, I prefer speaking down here. I feel more like I'm one of you. And so thank you for your tolerance with me on that. And I think Merlin, I'm looking for his face. There he is back there. Merlin, you could have preached part of my sermon. I could have just jumped up and tagged on to you. I want to thank all of you for being here today on this kickoff Sunday for our pledge drive or our stewardship Sunday. As Kathy said, I spent a lot of years as a youth minister and then a youth evangelist all over the South, preaching in churches, mostly in Oklahoma, towns called Soper and Bochita, Durant, Antlers, all of those small towns all over the South, preaching revivals. Now, I don't know what, some of you know, I've told this before, some of you know what revivals are in the South. That's like usually at least 2 weeks every night, 2 weeks. You preach these sermons and people get excited about their commitments and new people come into the church, and it's a time for people to really reassess their commitment to their church. And it was always a wonderful time being able to preach throughout that area. And when I got into Hugo, Oklahoma, now Hugo, Oklahoma, unfortunately had a little bit of a bad reputation. It was often referred to as the armpit of Oklahoma. Some of it was its location, way down south next to the Texas border, and some of it was a pretty rough town. It really had some reputation in that area. But when I got there to hold a revival, I was instantly in love. You know, you've had times like that. When you came to this church, probably, you felt like, this is my home. And that became my home base. And I'd go out and preach revival and come back there and get renewed. Their minister was an on-fire, holy roller preacher that could renew your soul. And I'd come back and come back. And so I remember a time coming back there, and the church was located on this little road that went, and call it a road because it really wasn't paved or anything. A lot of the roads in Hugo aren't paved. And I'd walk down the road to the little store down at the end. And as I'd walk by, I'd see Sister Hendrick's house. Now, Sister Hendrick, everyone in the South in the churches are sister and brother. And so Sister Hendricks would be sitting out on her front porch, shelling peas or fixing her husband's overalls or something. I'd stop and say hi, and then I'd go on to the little store and come back. And one time while I was there renewing my spirit, I walked by. Sister Hendrick wasn't out on her front porch. and the doors were open, which wasn't unusual, but I saw something going on inside. And I looked, and I walked up to the steps and walked in, and you're always welcome in the South if the door's open. Walked up, and I thought, what are they doing? They were lowering something down from the ceiling of their dining area. And I'm like, what is happening? And they were lowering down a quilting frame. In the South, a lot of the women would take their quilting frames that their quilts are on, and they had them on a pulley, and they'd lift them up over the dining room table all during the week, and then on Saturday, a miracle happened. That dining room became a quilting bee. And the three women that always seemed to show up was, of course, Sister Hendricks, Sister Babcock, and Sister Butler. And they always showed up to do their quilting. And I'd go in and I'd talk with them, and they'd always welcome me in, and we'd talk. Well, about the third time I went in to talk with them, Sister Hendricks, and give me a minute here to get my prop. Sister Hendricks met me at the front door, handed me this apron, and said, put it on, take a chair. We're putting you to work. She said, you're going to learn how to quilt. She said, now, do you know how to use a thimble? I said, yeah, my mom taught me how to use a thimble. Said, you know how to thread a needle? I said, well, of course I know how to thread a needle. Well, okay, see what we're doing. And they showed me exactly how they were doing. They'd already showed it to me before, but they said, look at that pattern. Follow that pattern and make your stitches. Okay, I can do this. I can shoot. Mama taught me how to do buttons and sew on little things. I can do this. So I started, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do this. They let me get quite a ways down, and Sister Babcock came over and she said, She said, you see how some of those stitches are tiny and some of those stitches are big? She said, we can't have that. They all have to be exactly tiny. Can't have big ones mixed in. They said, cut the thread and start all over. I cut the thread, start all over. I thought, the next time I've got this, I've got this. I'm cutting away, needling away, making stitches. Sister Butler came over. Now, I have to tell you a little bit of something about Sister Butler. Sister Butler liked to chew her snuff. That's not unusual, and the church always prayed for her deliverance. And in fact, she's the one, I think I've told you this at another time, she's the one that when the preacher preached about deliverance from that stuff, she said, if God didn't want me to dip this stuff, he'd come down with his big finger and take it out of my mouth. But Sister Butler had her snuff in her, and her little snuff can that she always carried with her, carnation milk can with 2 slits in it from a knife. We all know that in the old days. Didn't use can openers, used a knife. She came over, did her little spit. She said, okay, that doesn't look too bad. You're getting the hang of it. She reached underneath and she said, you got to go through the flimsy, which is the top. You got to go through the middle, the quilting material, and you got to go through the backing, all 3 on every stitch you make. Okay, start all over again. But you know what? One of the times I went in and I started stitching. And any minute expected I'd do something. Sister Hendricks came over. She looked at my stitching. She said, Sister Jody, you're a quilter. And I was so proud of myself being able to make these stitches, because that quilt was beautiful. It was something to be adored by many. So then I was called to the Pacific Northwest to do revivals in Washington and Oregon and around this area. And while I was in Pasco, the people I was staying with said, Jody, come, you got a package. And I went and opened that package, that big package, and you know what it was, you can guess. Yeah, that's right. Those quilters from Hugo, Oklahoma had sent me this beautiful quilt. And oh, everyone that saw it loved it. But you know something they always said? They said, Jody, don't put that up on a wall, or don't put that somewhere where no one can use. You use that quilt. It's beautiful, but you use it. And when I talked to them and asked them what's that quilt worth, and they said, oh, somewhere between $300 and $900, and I'm like, what? My little quilting, the little bit that I did, the effort I put in, and here I have this beautiful quilt to show for it. My heart was filled with joy because one of those quilts take between 50,000 and 60,000 stitches to make the quilt. A lot of time and effort went into that quilt, and I got to reap the rewards. That quilt served me so often in my journey. I used that quilt to cover me during my stays at different churches when I was doing revivals. And then when my children came along, that quilt covered my kids. It was there for me. It was there for me one time when I had to come back to Oklahoma from Colorado. I was in Colorado at that time. I got driving down to Oklahoma, and I got through the Oklahoma Panhandle and entered Texas, because you go to Texas and across. Got down to the Texas Panhandle. How many of you ever been in Texas Panhandle? It's a whole lot of nothing. Flat, flat, flat. And I'm thinking I'm going to make some time. And you know, I'm just a kid. I think I'm just really going to get there. Tooling along, watching the trucks, so if they slowed down, I slowed down, you know. They sped up, I sped up. All of a sudden, my car made a horrible sound, and boom, I was off the road. I'd thrown a rod through my motor of that car. And here I am out in the Texas Panhandle, starting to get evening, got to do something here. I was afraid to get out and hitch a ride. So I said, I'm just going to curl up in the back of this car. And I went into my trunk, and guess what I got out? I got that quilt out. And that quilt, I rolled up in it in the back seat, and that quilt was a comfort to me because I was scared half to death. That quilt was a joy to me because I didn't have to depend on someone else making a place for me. I'd figure out tomorrow when tomorrow came. That quilt kept me warm through that cold night, and let me tell you, the Panhandle can get very cold at night. The next day, thankfully, a farmer came by and saw me stranded and took me to the bus station with all my luggage, and I was able to get to Oklahoma. But I wanted to share a little bit about what I heard on some of those quilting times that I spent with Sister Hendricks and Sister Babcock and Sister Butler. I've made a note here so I don't forget anything on this. But Sister Babcock, while we were quilting away, told about her dad taking 25 cents when money was really hard. Took 25 cents and bought 8 eggs for Easter and took them home, boiled them up, dyed them with their beet juice, and hid them out in the yard for their kids. And of course the kids looked and looked and looked and found these eggs. And is that all? And he said, well, I think there might be some on the side yard. He didn't put any on the side yard, but they went around to look. And while they were looking at the side yard, he hid those eggs again. And he did that twice in a row. What an example of our UU idea of transformation, scarcity into abundance. Those kids, she said we all thought we were rich. We thought we were maybe the richest people in our area because we had all these eggs. And they were in their hearts. And then Sister Hendricks told about her 4 kids during a really rough time. And they only had 1 cup of beans left and some hardtack. Anyone know what hardtack is? It's almost like a cracker, and all it's made out of is water and flour. And they cook it up, and that stuff will last for years. And she was going to cook up that last meal because Brother Hendricks had gone looking for a job down in Paris, Texas, and he got down there, no one was hiring. He came home sad and shaking his head. So they were just going to enjoy that meal and pray and see what happened. Well, one of the kids came in and said, Mom, there's a family out here that are on their way to Texas. So she went out to see what was going on, and this family had lost everything. They had nothing. They were on their way, on foot, on their way to Texas to see if they could find work. Well, Sister Hendricks said they had no other way to do but invite them in. And they said, we're just going to have to figure out a way so that all of us have a little bit of something. And she invited them in, and they shared a meal with that family. And then come nighttime, they laid on pallets. She put pallets out. That's another word for just a blanket on the floor. Those holy rollers always had pallets on the floor for their kids because services would go to midnight. She made pallets for them all on the floor. Talk about generosity. One of our UU values. I didn't know I was learning UU values back then, but I was. That's a spirit of generosity when you give, when you don't know for sure how it's going to turn out. And the last story was Sister Butler. She told about her 13-year-old son, Sammy. Sammy was always complaining, she said. And Sammy said, I'm so tired of having dinner with no meat in it. Day after day, we've had dinner and no meat in it. Of course, she said, I'd tell him, Sammy, we just need to be grateful for what we have. So one day, Sammy come marching home, and he was just so tickled with himself, he had a chicken under his arm. And he thought, oh boy, look what I've done. Of course, Sister Butler saw that chicken, and she knew there's only one person in that area that had barred rock, and that chicken did not belong to Sammy. No, she knew that that chicken belonged to Sister Grogan just over the way. So she said, Sammy, you're taking that chicken back. And so she didn't take it straight back. She followed him. She made him go around right past his friends. And they saw him with that chicken under his arm looking sad. And he took that chicken back. And she said, now, we need to be grateful what we do have and not take that of others, because we have so much. Kind of a different lesson on justice, but it really is. Trying to teach children justice. And that's one of our values as justice here. So I thought about this sermon and how in the world you're saying, I thought this was Pledge Drive opening. Think about that little bit of effort that I put in, doing my very best, helping create that beautiful quilt. And from that, I got so many blessings. When my kids were little, I think they were 3 and 5 years old, their grandma wanted to make a quilt for them. And she had the flimsy, she had the stuffing in the middle, but she said, I need backing for this quilt. Guess what I found? I found that old quilt that I had used. The edges were kind of rough and ready. And I said, I've got some material. She took the material off of that big quilt, and she made backings for Tammy and Jason, my son, for their quilt. And they used their quilt to make tents and clubhouses under the table and all of that. That quilt served so many needs. because, not just because I was willing, but partly because I did my part, put my effort in. And so, folks, today, I'm here to ask you, what are you getting out of this church? Someone tell me, what brings you joy here that you love coming here? There you go. There you go. Pardon? Community. Oh, I like that. Pardon? Inspiration. Yes. First church that you're so grateful for. Yes, yes. I'm here and you're not taking me away, she says. Anyone else? What's important? Yes, grateful to be here. Yes. Anyone else? Yes. All right, all right. Anyone else? Pardon? The warmth and caring. You know, it sounds to me like we have so much in this community here to be grateful for. We have so many things that we have invested our time and energy into to be here. But today I'm going to talk to you, and some people say, Jody, you're going to be meddling now. That's my job. The bills have to be paid. The lights, the electric bill has to be paid. The water bill has to be paid. The minister has to be paid. The office man, all those things have to be paid. And those are important. But what we talked about here, your things that you're getting out of this community, this congregation, that's the important thing too. And those things need our support. And so today, as this opening pledge drive, I'm asking you to get out your needle and thread. Get it out. See how many stitches you can make. And if your name is on an envelope back there, that means you've made some stitches in the past for this beautiful quilt, this fabric that we all love. And you know the thing about that fabric, it's all different colors, shapes, and sizes. And look around. We got all ages. We got all shapes, all sizes, all looks. So if your name is on an envelope, please take it. And if you'd like to pledge, if you feel like this is something I can get behind, I'd like to give, we'll have some pledge cards for you to fill out. But we would love for you to support this organization, this church, this community, so that we can continue to thrive, continue to have all the things we talked about here this morning. And don't forget to pick up your envelope afterwards and have a treat. Thank you all very much.
Now's your opportunity to respond. If anyone has anything they'd like to say.
A word that hasn't come up yet today, but is the word that I find this church helps me with, and that's courage. The courage to see somebody who needs something and I don't know them, and I've been taught by my mother to not reach out to strangers. But there are people really suffering right now, and they need us not to be too scared or to finally find the pride to know that this church asks you to say, share.
handing the mic.
I was just going to say there's no such thing as too much or too little. It's what each of us can do. And, you know, we do in many ways. We do with our gifts that we volunteer, we do when we pay for our birthdays, and we do whenever extra money comes in. So don't worry if you don't have a whole lot of money and think, well, I can't really pledge anything.
No man is an island. John Donne, I don't know how to say his last name. Dunn. It's amazing what can happen when people work together and everybody does their little part, even if it's just showing up. Sometimes that's the little part that needed to happen. And as I look back over my time here, I just feel so enriched. It was definitely, I mean, I moved here because my parents, and it was a wonderful time for me to come and live by them. And I'm so grateful that I decision. But the second piece was this church, that I could come to a place like Roseburg and have this church as well as my parents, and kind of an extended family is how it feels.
So, do I need to stand? No. So I'm Doug, and there's just so much about this church. I said before I haven't joined a church since I didn't join the church when I was born. I got thrown into the thing. But I swore I'd never be a part of a church before, and it took me 20 years to join this one. But that was because it consistently showed me what a church can be. And like we have the fish food collection, and that's kind of feeding the community and feeding folks other than us, but we also are feeding ourselves. That's what I see. Pastor Eli is a great speaker. Every time I hear him speak, or them speak, it's something new and heartwarming and expanding. And I find that, every time Jody speaks, I don't care if it's asking for money or whatever. It's always inspiring and heartwarming. There's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of love here. And yeah, I'll throw some money at that. Yeah.
Well, Mom, I just wanted to let you know that I have a certain amount of my income, but deciding to become a member, I knew that I had to give. And I took that amount that I make and I decided the amount I wanted to give. And I'm very glad that I was able to give what I gave and what I'm going to be doing it, every time. And that's just what I'm proud to be able to do that for this community and this congregation. And thank you.
Marianne? I think you're muted.
We try to be so careful online.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jody, for the inspired use of the quilting bee. That just moved my heart. It was just lovely and beautiful. And as our pledge drive continues through this next month, I'm hoping everyone will consider their own ways of contributing to our wonderful congregation in whatever way that they're able to do that. We are full of love, and we need to show that to our building too. Thank you all.
Okay, now we have a closing song. This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Our closing words are by David Blanchard. Do more than simply keep the promises made in your vow. Do something more. Keep promising. As time passes, keep promising new things, deeper things, vaster things, yet unimagined things. Promises that will be needed to fill the expanse of time and of love. Keep promising. We extinguish the chalice with words from Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. Please join in our closing circle as we sing Go Lift It Up.